Hello everyone, this is Ramon from DonDivi. Thanks for being there, nice to meet you. Well, let me introduce you in this video DiviMenus Flex, the new module that you can now enjoy from version DiviMenus 2.0. As many of you already know, until now the DiviMenus plugin only included one module, but now you can enjoy two modules, DiviMenus and DiviMenus Flex. There are two new ways to design all kinds of menus and much more. DiviMenus Flex adds new features that many of you have suggested to us, and we hope they will help you in your new Divi projects. Next in this video, I'm going to show you from my screen an overview about the main differences between the two modules. Well, we have recreated the Elegant Themes main menu. The logo is located on the left, and next to it there are some menu items displaying drop-downs or sublevels. When hovering over them to show new pages or sections, as you can see they are blurbs or buttons, etc. These drop-downs float over the page content, dropping a shadow. They also include small arrows pointing to each menu item that are fully customizable. We can also use a menu item as a button and also add some content icons. All these elements from the header are actually one single Divi menu. How does this Divi menu look on a phone or tablet? Well, here you can see that how it fits to vertical screens. We can see the content of each menu item when we click on them. How's it made? Well, let's see on this page the main differences between DiviMenus and DiviMenus Flex. I'm going to add here the two modules from the Visual Builder. Here we see DiviMenus and DiviMenus Flex. I'm going to create first a Divi menu. Not going to elaborate much on this because you already know this module and there are already other videos available on the DonDivi's YouTube channel where all this is much better explained. In this case, I'm not going to stop on creating different menu items, but I'm going to duplicate the default one to show you what we can do with Divi menus. The first difference between both modules is that in Divi menus we can choose three different shapes: circular, horizontal, or vertical. But as we will see below, in DiviMenus Flex we can only choose two shapes, horizontal and vertical. Okay, I'm going to select horizontal again. The next difference that we are going to find is that in Divi menus, all menu items must show the same type of content. I mean, here they must all be icons or images or text, but in DiviMenus Flex, as we will see later, we can individually define a text menu item, an image menu item, or an icon menu item in the Divi menu itself. Another difference that DiviMenus Flex includes is something in high demand by all of you, since the fonts available from Divi menus for your text menu items are limited only to monospaced fonts. As many of you already know, this way we can offer you lots of options, as paddings, distances, sizes, shapes, etc. to customize your Divi menu. But now from DiviMenus Flex, you can choose any of the fonts included by Divi. Finally, the last difference that I'm going to show you, I'm going to remove this menu item, is the alignment of our Divi menus. The alignment in DiviMenus module can be controlled from, let me close this, from Divi menu alignment. The alignment selected by default is justified, which enters the Divi menu within the container, I mean the column, row, or section. We can see an equal space to the left and right of the Divi menu. We can also align the Divi menu to the left, to the center. Note the menu button is taken as a reference. Or we can also align it to the right. Later we will see that DiviMenus Flex offers new alignment options. Regarding the spacing, remember also that from Divi menu opening we can also join or separate the menu items even forcing them out of the screen. I'm going to increase the distance even more. Okay. So we force a horizontal overflow or scroll that can be interesting for your projects. For example, you can find a similar layout called Apple on the DonDivi website. In any case, now we're going to see that any options include with DiviMenus Flex to align our Divi menus and distribute the menu items. Okay, now it's time to add DiviMenus Flex to our page. I type Divi menu and I can quickly find our two modules out. Select DiviMenus Flex. Well, as you can see, its appearance is very similar, so I quickly add the default dummies, by adding a menu item and duplicating it several times. The first difference, as mentioned previously, is that our DiviMenus Flex cannot be circular. We can only choose horizontal or vertical, but instead we can now choose a different direction for each device. For example, I choose horizontal for desktop and vertical for tablet or phone. This way we can choose the most convenient way for our Divi menu according to the device. Okay, I'm going to select horizontal again. The next difference is that in DiviMenus Flex we can individually choose the content for our menu items. For example, for our first menu item, I'm going to name it text for reference. I'm going to choose text. For the second menu item, I'm going to choose an image, and I can choose any rectangular or square image. Okay, this. Of course, you can adjust its size, etc. For the third menu item, I'm going to choose an icon, but instead of the default icon, I'm going to select an envelope, for example, as the contact icon. Finally, we can also add another type of menu item, starting from text menu item. I'm going to name it here as a text with icon. That's right. As you can see, when choosing text, we can also add an icon. We can pick any of the icons included by Divi, for example, a down arrow in case you want to show something below the menu item, or any other icon, for example, a cloud. We can also choose the position for this icon around the text. We can place it on top, right, bottom, or keep it to the left. The last difference is about the alignment. In the DiviMenus Flex module, this is located under the Divi menu tab. Here there are three fields: horizontal alignment, vertical alignment, and force full width. What does each one work for? Easy. Okay, let's go. The first option offers left, center, right, and justified alignment, which, as you can see here, this option automatically distributes all the elements of the Divi menu in the available space of the container and keeping the same distance among all the menu items. The default vertical alignment is in the middle, but of course we can align our menu items to the top or even to the bottom. And finally, if we choose for full width, the width of the menu items will increase along the space available in its container, in its wrapper. Okay, let's see this more clearly with a vertical Divi menu. Okay. Well, let's also center the menu button. That's it. We can also align the elements within a menu item. For example, I'm going to align the text and icon within this menu item. I double click to quickly open it, and in the tab design alignment, we can choose to align the content of the menu item or the menu item itself. You can select left, center, right, justified. For example, we can try to recreate a toggle or accordion simply by changing the position of the icon and replacing, of course, our cloud with the down arrow. We can also increase the padding of this menu item to the left and on the right. Okay, I'm going to undo these last changes. Horizontal alignment, force full width, done. Well, now I'm going to recreate what I showed you previously in the Elegant Themes menu. I'm going to place two contact icons on the right of the screen, while the rest of the menu items remain on the left. How to do this? Easy. To see it more clearly, I'm going to create a couple of icon menu items. For the second icon, I choose, for example, a phone. Now we open the first icon, alignment, choose to the right. As you can see, this icon has also pushed the phone to the right. Easy. In the same way, now I'm going to align the first menu item to the left, and thus these two menu items will be centered. Okay, I double click on the menu item, alignment, choose left, it's done. Well, in the Elegant Themes layout, the logo is located on the left as the first element. We could easily achieve this in two different ways. The first one is to replace the menu button with an image. So I'm going to select one, this one for example. Now I'm going to adjust its size, disable the opacity effect, disable also the rescale effect, and finally remove the background. I'm also going to deactivate the clicks on the menu button in order to deactivate the option to open close the Divi menu, you know. Okay, but we could achieve this in another way. I'll hide the menu button and use the first menu item as a logo instead. I'm going to replace the first text menu item as an image menu item. Here I select our logo, size, and we can also disable the clicks on this menu item. Done. Well, now that you already know the main differences between DiviMenus and DiviMenus Flex, let's get to know the new sublink type, included with the DiviMenus Flex module only. Let's recreate the first drop-down of the Elegant Themes example. I choose, for example, this menu item. Go to the link types, and here's it. Sub is the new link type that will allow you to choose any layout from your Divi library and show it when hovering the menu item. You can also show an arrow or pointer or adjust the width of your dropdown. Okay, let's take a look again to the Elegant Themes layout. This dropdown is actually a section that contains a row of two columns and some blurbs, and another row below with just one button. Let me show you how it's made. This is a layout previously stored in my Divi library. Let me look it up. It is DonDivi, this one. Okay, this layout is a section, as you can see, a row with 2 columns, several blurbs. Here another row with 1 button. Easy. Let's check the wireframe. Section called Divi with all these Divi blurbs. I've also defined the max width for this section, so this will be the width for the drop-down on each device. Desktop, tablet. Okay, you can adjust it to your liking. Finally, you can apply a shadow with your own styles, of course. Okay, this layout is stored in the Divi library, so you only have to select it from the DiviMenus Flex module, so that it's displayed below the menu item which we are editing. You can override or define a different width for your dropdown. You can also show an arrow under this menu item, adjust the distance to your liking, and then we can select the sub alignment and also the arrow's color. Okay, let's save changes, and here it is. Now the menu item shows the sub when hovering over it. Okay, since there's no room enough at the bottom, now I'm going to show you the Elegant Themes layout in the header by using the theme builder. Here it is. This is a section, a row, and a Divi menu. Easy. As previously explained, I've used the menu button as a logo. So I'm going to disable the option that allows the Divi menu to be opened and closed. Well, let's see the menu items. I'm going to open the first one called Divi. We see that it's a text menu item. The link type is sub, offset, and the arrow, color, white, okay. And the sub is also centered with the menu item. Let's check it out. Here it is. I'm going to try a different alignment. Save changes, reload the page, and okay, the alignment has changed perfectly. In this way, you can choose the most suitable alignment according to the width of your dropdown and also the screen size. Okay, that's it. Hope you like all these new features included with the new DiviMenus Flex. I hope you find them useful for your new Divi projects. Very soon we will publish new videos with more news about DiviMenus and other DonDivi plugins. Thank you so much and happy building!